I've been looking forward to this because I want to show people that in life it's not always sunshine and rainbows, and especially the journey of living in a van. My previous video I showed you was when ultimately the good side of living in London, the positive effects of building a van and saving money and ultimately allowing me to travel the world and stuff like this. The one before that you saw a van tour. That's easy to look at once it's completed. But what a lot of people don't show you is the true reality of what they actually go through in order to get to this stage where everything's looking nice and pretty. So jumping straight into it, the first problem, major problem that I encountered, basically in the corner of this van, where you see it looking all nice and pretty now with all the plants and all sealed and everything like this, well, it certainly didn't start out like that. There was basically a massive hole in this corner of the van, and I sealed it, or so I thought. And then one night at 2 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of winter in London, I woke up at 2 in the morning and I was feeling water dripping on my head. And to be honest with you, condensation was a major problem anyway, because I didn't have the roof, you know, there was no wood or insulation on the roof or anything like this. And I just thought, the condensation is just extreme tonight. So I basically, at 2 in the morning, I just turned my pillow around to the other side of the mattress. I was actually sleeping down here in this corner originally. And you'll see this on a video in a minute, because I was looking through my phone, and fortunately I'd still saved a video, a WhatsApp video that I sent to my friend at the time. And basically I woke up and everything was absolutely soaked. All of my clothes were hanging on the side. They got absolutely drenched. The mattress got drenched, the pillows, the quilt, everything. And it was an absolute disaster. So I'm going to show you this video now. You're going to have to excuse the F-bombs and all the rest of this kind of stuff, because you've got to understand, being straight up, I was extremely pissed off at the time. But at least now you're seeing the true reality of the situation and what I actually had to go through in order to complete this build. Like I said, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. You may have to turn your phone sideways, because obviously I shot this in vertical format just to send it on a WhatsApp message. I don't know whether I clip this in vertical or horizontal, but whatever it is, roll with it. At least this is real. Yo, my G, calm down a little bit now. This is the current state of my life. I did fill that beast, but what happened, I put all putty here and it trickled down here, ran along, and then dripped down perfectly all over my fucking clothes. It came through one of these gaps in this corner, drenched the sheet, mattress all night. Heaviest rain. That corner's fucked as well. I don't know if you can see it where the wood is. I'm going to fix that beast today. But yeah, I was too pissed off this morning. I just decided to fucking come home, mate. I couldn't even concentrate at work. I was just fucking fuming. So but whatever, I'm back now. I'm going to spend the day doing this till it gets dark at 4:30. Perfect timing, shortish day, of course it is. And yeah, going to crack on, get this beast sealed, and then eventually this fucking beast will actually look good. Alright, G. I actually just watched that back, because then I can kind of react to it, and it is, I must admit, it's quite funny looking at it now. But it was an extreme situation, as you can probably tell, and it's not the best when you're working in London and then you've got to turn up and all your work clothes and stuff like this are absolutely drenched. Yeah, it was a nightmare situation. So that was one of the worst mornings of my life, one of. But I didn't realise that things were just getting warmed up at that stage. Now the next thing that I experienced, and I've actually got another video of this, fortunately, that I sent also to my friend, who's also now travelling with me. And this was obviously a result of all of this water and everything like this coming through. And you can kind of hear it in my voice. I'm starting to get a cold, and this is because of mould. And mould basically started growing all over the van, under the mattress, under my pillows, in the corners. It was an absolute nightmare. I'm not going to say much more. I'll clip straight in another video now. You'll see what I sent to him, because then you can see the situation as well with what happened with mould. So let's take a look at this. Yo, yo, G-Unit, good morning. Hey, bro, first night ever, no condensation. And I don't know if you can see, this place is a fucking shithole at the minute.
This is what we are living amongst, mate. It's a fucking joke. Look at this. That's one side of my bed just full of shit. Popcorn for the movie last night. But look, this is what I'm showing you, bro. No condensation, dry mofo right here. And you can see the past condensation, how this is all just, fuck me, mate. Fucking hell. There's a bit of mould growing on this wood here, but I think that'll disappear in time, or I'm sure I'll be able to solve that with something. But look, if you look up here, I don't know if that can, I don't think it can pick it up. Oh, there you go, look. Look how fucking soaking that is, bro. If you can see the drips here. I'd have been all over my bed, but this is nice and dry, and this is obviously the metal, look, totally drenched. So that is cracking news, because that means the vapor barrier has worked.
These are actually hilarious to watch back, to be fair. Again, swearing all over the place. You could definitely hear it in my voice as well. The mould had started to take over my lungs. But again, an extreme situation to go through. But you can tell that I'm also feeling a lot more jolly, because I had finally installed the vapor barrier, and where it was weeks I went through this of just dripping on me all night, and it was absolutely horrendous to go through. But you keep pushing forwards, because in the biggest times of difficulty, this is also your biggest moments of growth. And I'd experienced this in the past before. I knew that I was going through a ridiculously challenging time, but I knew it was going to be worth it. And at the end of the day, you can see this. That was where the overhang was. If I move my hand over here, it was in this corner over here that you were seeing where all of that water was, and there was my mattress absolutely soaked. But now obviously we're here and it's all completed. But like I said, I wanted to show you this because that was the reality of the situation. Because if people do choose to embark on this journey and live in a van, especially when it's not completed like mine wasn't, and basically had to just go through and build everything, it's not going to be easy, but I promise you it is going to be worth it. Now, I said to you that the water leaking on me and everything getting soaked was one of the worst, but not the worst. The second was obviously the mould. That also was not the worst, because things were just getting warmed up. Now, I had a bike at the time. I was cycling to work, and basically one day, only literally a couple of days after I'd solved this condensation issue, I believe it was this kind of timing, I was cycling along one of the main roads in London, going full speed. Someone walks out in front of me, bam, I smash into them, I fly over my handlebars, I dislocate my arm, I dislocate my knee, I tear the ligaments in my knee. I'll show you a photo. Basically, I couldn't walk for 6 weeks. So now it was the middle of winter in London. I'd only just solved the condensation issue, but you could see from the streaks on this, you're still on the side of the walls and stuff like this. Now I've got to face the cold. I've got to face building this van somehow with basically one leg, because I literally could not walk or move or bend my leg more than like 10 degrees for 6 weeks. So that was where, I'm not going to lie, when I went through the leaking and the holes and everything like this, I was so stressed out and I felt like everything was against me. And then guess what? I get a big slap round the face and I dislocate my leg and I can't walk. So that also another lesson for you guys. Just when you think it can't get any worse, I promise you it can. But again, I pulled myself together, I kept going, and I was literally with the ladder against the side of this van, just hobbling up with one leg, trying to balance as I'm pulling up solar panels and all this kind of crazy stuff, going getting wood and stuff literally with one leg. It was extremely difficult, but like I've said, in the biggest times of difficulty are your biggest areas for growth. And I knew that this was an immense growth period. That's not to say that it wasn't extremely difficult, because it was. Truthfully, when I dislocated my leg then, and I was living in this van just as a shell, and it was cold and it was damp, that was probably the biggest challenge that I have ever faced in life. I'm not gonna lie. That is honestly, it was so difficult to go through that, but absolutely worth it. And I kept pursuing. Now, finally, to finish off, and to share with you what ultimately made me move from my parking space that I was in on that church ground. If you see in the other video, I was parking on a church ground. My neighbours were literally gravestones. I basically ended up having a war with a crackhead because I was chilling in the van one night at 10:30, and all of a sudden there's a knock on the shutter. These doors weren't here, there was just a shutter at the back. And I pull up the shutter, it's 10:30 at night, I look out and then I see two crackheads stood there. And they start waffling on and they basically said, oh, you know, can we borrow your tools? Really, I saw a Santander bike, I saw how they were looking, scratchy and all this kind of stuff. They were checking whether there's someone in the van because they were probably going to rob it. And then they started yamming on about this story of they need to get in their gate at their house and stuff like this. I obviously knew that it was a load of waffle. I said no. There was a few words exchanged between us because he wasn't too happy that I wouldn't lend him my tools for him to probably rob someone. And then basically I woke up the next morning and there was a shit at the back of the van. So he'd kindly laid a shit at the back of the van. And then I'm now thinking, flipping heck, I'm sleeping in this graveyard. I've now got a war with a crackhead, and crackheads are dangerous anyway, but there's nothing worse than a motivated crackhead, because when I lifted up my shutter, my tools, a bright orange toolbox, was right at the back of the van, and he's seen it. So now I'm thinking, flipping heck, I'm going to leave my van, I'm going to go to work. This crackhead has seen that this van has got a load of tools in it. This is not leaving me in a good position. Anyway, I stayed there for another week or 2 weeks, something like this, but he decided to keep coming back. He kept laying shits at the back of the van. And basically it was affecting my sleep because I'm just thinking this guy's going to be tampering with the van, he could do anything. So ultimately that is what made me leave London and move to somewhere else. And then I basically moved to North London, it was at the time. I was kind of working towards the last few days at work. And basically I just stayed on the street then. So I wasn't even paying for parking. There's free parking in the north area of London. I had to go out of the ULEZ zone and all this kind of stuff so it wouldn't charge me. So again, that was a challenge. It was annoying because I was comfortable at least, you know, in this church ground. I felt safe until this kind of nonsense started happening. So anyway, there we go, guys. That's the reality of the situation. I wanted to share those stories with you because hopefully it helps a few people when they do go through difficult times or they go through challenges. They can think, you know what? Look at what Simon went through. This is nothing. We can keep pushing forward. And also remember, like I said, times of difficulty, just know and understand, I promise you, this is your biggest area of growth. And just keep going because there is light at the end of the tunnel. The sun will shine again. I promise you, you just have to keep going. And now to finish off, for those who have stayed until the end of the video, I want to give you guys a treat because I've obviously shared with you the difficulty in life and going through this journey and stuff like this, but also now I want to show you the ultimate reward of not giving in and not quitting along the way, because one day if you do want to travel, all of a sudden you find yourself living amongst the mountains in Montenegro. And if I'd have given in, let that crackhead beat me, let that mold defeat me, let that water destroy me, I would not be here. So I'm very pleased I kept going. So hopefully this is motivation for a few people, but at the very least that is the reality of the situation, and that's what this channel is all about, is bringing some real into this world that's often full of nonsense and fakeness. So stay real, people, keep going, stay motivated, and I hope that this has helped a few people. If you're not subscribed already, please do so, because there is more to come. I'm going to share more of the van, more real stories, and ultimately just help as many people as I can.